Awesome. Okay. So we got a request from a user today, right? And I want to see how fast, if we can do that in 15 minutes using Gooey.AI.
Cool. Yes.
So I'm just going to go create a new notebook on Colab. And
who is the customer and what do they want?
You know better, but that's what I'm going to type, right? So I don't know about the customer, but I do know about the problem that they're trying to solve, which is given a search query, right? You pass it to Google, then Google gives you search results, right? Then you take those search results and then you want to pass it through GPT-3 and ask GPT-3 to create a coherent piece of text that's grounded in those search results, right? So you create the article basically. And then you want to ask GPT-3 again, hey, take this article and generate a
picture.
DALL-E/SD prompt for me, right? And then you take that SD prompt and then you put it through the API/GPUs, and then you get a picture of the end. So you basically enter a search query and you get a picture that describes the content of those results, like pictographically, right?
Yes.
So I think we have the 3 tools that are needed to get this done. So the one we have is a SEOSummary. And then we have the compare LLM one. And finally, we have the compare text image one. Right. So this will allow us to basically give a search query and get some content. Just should run as API. Go to Python. Just copy this stuff. And I'm just going to store my API key here. So Gooey.
We're going to have to blank that out in post.
Yes, we'll clear it out. But since we have the API key, we can now just make requests of what do I want to see, right? So search query. What would you like to see, Sean? So I can't hear you anymore.
Highland vacations.
Sorry, it's called Highland?
Thailand. Let's do something better. Who were the greatest of the Roman emperors?
Okay, great. So we have a nice little search query. I don't want to give it any keywords because I don't know any, but I do know a title, which is, Roman books. That's the name of my website that I'm generating content for. It's my, fictional website. Anyway, once I do that, get some response, let's just run that. It says quick. Okay, I didn't run this code, so it's gonna.
So what's happening now?
Right. So this is this first part of the search. So it's going to Google, pulling the search results for this search query, and then passing it to GPT-3 to generate an article for me. I'm doing that in the background, right? And hopefully it's going to come back with a response.
And then what are you going to do with this response once you get it?
Okay. So what are we going to do? We then, I think, put it into a large language model, right? Let's copy this code as well. Okay, so we got some response, which was, we got an ID, a URL created at, and the output content. So it just generated an HTML text for me that says the Roman Empire was one of the most powerful and influential empires in history, and so on. Right? So I feel like we can take this output content, feed it back to GPT-3 and say, give me a good prompt for this.
The only thing that we might want to do you want to turn off HTML rendering for it? Just might make it easier to prompt. I feel like GPT-3 can probably handle HTML content, actually.
Yeah, but we can do that easily, right? So if we just go to API docs, just give us the right parameter that we need to use, right? Enable HTML. So we just say enable HTML box. That's it. And one thing I also want to do is like do like a short output so that it's fast and concise. So we're just going to use 500 tokens, which is like around 200, 300 words. Yeah, around that mark. And I'm also going to put this in article data so that I can access it later. And while that's running, and so what is the prompt going to be?
I think we want to turn this into something that looks like an image prompt, right?
Well, I just want to try to see like what can GPT-3 just do without telling it anything, right? Without me showing it a few short examples, right? So if we just tell it, just do this, what happens? And then we try to give it some examples if we think that the output is not good
Sure.
enough. So let's try that because it's just easier, I guess. So we have the article data here. And then we put in, so here's a cool thing. I can go here, see the structure of the response. So I can just say article data, and really it's the output that I care about. And then the output content and the first item in that list. And I just go to 0. So that's going to embed the article that I just created here, which was not HTML and super short and concise. So I'm just going to say, please create a stable diffusion prompt that best describes the following text. Just going to say text. And this is like a trick that I learned in the GPT-3 prompting group, which is surround your text with quotes and GPT-3 will know then your text ends. And so I'm just then going to say prompt, and hopefully it gives us a prompt. So, and I do want to store that in prompt data.
It's a little dependent on how much data was on the internet when GPT 3.5 was trained, or this latest version that knows about stable diffusion prompts. I think it'll have some knowledge, but we'll find out.
Maybe we do DALL-E.
Yeah, it probably knows more about that one, but you
Okay,
can do DALL-E
try
or
this.
stable, yeah, or stable diffusion. I feel like both are probably going to be okay.
Okay, so just gonna say that. And I do want to save it in prompt data. Okay, sorry.
So you're fixing your API key? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we got back
Something fast?
Yes. Who are the 5 greatest Roman emperors? Interesting. What was our input text? Who are the greatest of the Roman emperors? And so it's actually gone ahead and added this 5 thingy and said, hey, maybe this is a better structured prompt for it. That's interesting. I think we might need to give it a few short examples later on to make it even better. But let's skip ahead of that and just run our API on
Image creation.
Yes. Sorry, copy the color code.
The only thing I would say is that output feels more like a GPT-3 prompt than an image prompt. So
True.
Anyways, I think we should try it, but we might want to give it a bit of training data as examples. But let's try it. I mean, I feel like the point of this demo is showing how these things are hooked together easily, which is the point.
Well, maybe we can think of something.
Yeah, I mean, if you take if I feel like if we had a couple, like just one example, right, where it's basically taking something and then describing that image, right, and then it'll pick up those canonical pieces.
Let's try this. Antidotes and poisoning. I don't have a good prompt for it. Well, we have the Indian Empire.
Sure.
Right? So the history of India. Let's copy this history of India. Let's copy this first text and tell it, I have this text. And a good prompt for it would be, I don't know, can we search it on Lexica and see if there's a good prompt? You like anything? I like this one.
Don't do the Modi is not really history. He is quite
I like
active.
this one too.
Sure.
Or maybe this one. Yes.
But it's
That is
futuristic.
But it's specific to the Red Fort though, which is like, yeah, that's not a good example. Very interesting. Not very nice.
But let's just take the output that it has rather than, right? I mean, because I feel like his part, let's just take what it's got, right? Like it did the summarization, and I feel like
yeah, we can do this optimization.
Let's make it do the work rather than us doing the work. So, I feel like we could probably change that to create a DALL-E image prompt or a DALL-E.AI image prompt, right? And then it may give it a little more help.
That created an illustration of the 5 greatest Roman emperors.
There you go.
That's awesome. That's prompt engineering for you right there.
Yes. Don't do the work. Describe the work you want done.
So now we have prompt data, and I'm just going to use a handy guide to extract that data. So it's okay. So it's output text 7G003. So I have this thing that I have to, and I'll store that in image data. I don't know, do we want to generate 2 images? Because this will generate 2 images, right?
Yeah, this generates multiple images.
Okay.
And obviously we could put it through more rendering engines if we want to there.
What did I mess up?
Yeah, key error there.
Okay, it's underscores. Typos suck. Body text prompt. Oh, sorry. Just did the weirdest thing ever. This is actually just the first item in the list.
Yes.
And that should take about 20 seconds.
Because it's going off and actually talking to several rendering engines and making those pictures.
Yes, and that came out pretty fast. So
what do we get?
It generated this.
Nice.
Oh, That is amazing. I hope we can look at that in our notebook here. So image data, output images, st2, that's 0. And I think there's a thing called from IPython import display. Hopefully that's going to display the right thing. It's called display. Yeah. Display images in Colab.
The hardest part of the demo. Display a picture.
Okay, there's a thing called image.
Yeah. What are we doing wrong?
Okay,
No!
awesome.
Okay, so I think you can give it back to our customer friend. I think we have done what we set out to do. So,
And I want to do this quickly too, which is,
yeah.
you want to try another search query and see
Yes,
how
of
we done it?
course. I want, top vacation spots in Thailand. And
Okay.
yeah,
And then we do run all, and then we just wait because we have like code now that does it for us.
yes. And let's do, I feel like we should have a more interesting one, which is, I don't know. The best trees to grow in the Pacific Northwest, assuming climate change over the next 10 years.
Right. So we're going to try that next. Okay, it's still generating an article for us.
Oh, but you're still a Roman. That's the only thing that might be slightly here. Like your website.
Roman books, is it?
Yes. So
Okay.
we can leave
So we
that
have
blank,
a second bug in
right?
our
You
code.
might want to leave those blank so it doesn't. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
we get Romans in Thailand now. But yeah, we should probably.
Okay, so it's got to generating the images now.
And we just upgraded to the 80 gigabyte A100. Not
Wow.
bad.
Man, I love it.
Bad.
I want to try our top vacation. I want to try our best
I want
trees
the
one
best
again.
trees in the Pacific Northwest, excluding climate change. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm still waiting for like a little Roman guy hanging out on top of the tree. Death to the pines, so says Caesar.
Well, we can probably put like another image model after this that actually puts like takes that image and puts a Roman guy out there.
Yeah, let's wait on that one. I feel like this one is completing what the customer asked for. So I feel like we should hand that back. But yeah, so I guess this is a demo of what GUI looks like when you are a bit familiar with Google Colabs and you can kind of pull them together and then you can see really quickly we can make neat stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's another thing that we might want to do later, which is how do I now turn this into my app?
Yes, of course.
I think we can do that one very easily using Streamlit. Okay, interesting. That didn't work out.
What went wrong?
We can inspect it easily because we have the response status code. So that tells us there was a 504. What is a 504? Gateway timeout. Okay, so it just timed out on the request.
Oh yeah, GPT, like OpenAI will do this sometimes, right?
Yes.
And even if you have paid accounts, sometimes they just don't like you, which is annoying.
Yeah, we should add like a retry under here, which is like, if OpenAI is not working, retry.
This is why we're all rooting for more LLMs, right, from other companies.
Yes.
Let there be competition.
True.
can't all go to Microsoft.
Well, we did try out, like on our 80 gig GPUs, the FLAN T5 one, and we can load it all into memory, and it actually works well. And it's like pretty fast to do inference as well. So yeah, I feel like I can see multiple LLMs being deployed on Gooey.
It just seems crazy to run an LLM locally. I mean, it's one of those things I find mind-boggling. It's like what? It's trained on 45 trillion documents, something like that. Right.
Okay, I think there's something wrong with the API.
Really?
I think we just have to cut this part out.
You didn't like my best trees to grow? Yeah, but did we get a response back, actually? I mean,
yeah, no, we just I think get a.
But I think it's useful to show the folks at home how debugging works here.
5.4.
So it's a timeout on our side, or do we think it's a timeout on the it's a gateway piece?
Okay, it might be a timeout on our end. Yeah, that's possible. I think it's a bug in our API code, which is like if it taking too much time.
It just kills it.
Yes.
Let's try a different query and see if it goes away.
Do something very quickly, which is, I think there's a rate limit thing that we're running into on GPT3. No. Okay.
And let's just change vacation spots in Thailand to vacation spots in Mexico. Just hell of it. Still think we should get rid of Roman works. So I think we just leave these blank. And so again, all of these workflows that you see here, the SEOSummary, you can inspect all of that as well, just on the site. And so if you want to see what's happening there as it's going off, synthesizing data.
That's all back. So I think there's something wrong with this thing, which is, I think there's probably a site there that's like blocking our entire thing.
Well, yeah, you might want to get rid of the other stuff and see what happens. Because this is not the same API call we made. Okay.
Okay, anyways, we have a Mexico thing that's going on. So I'm just gonna keep running that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what picture it ultimately makes in the end.
But you can see that it's summarizing this site. Oh, it's summarizing a PDF, which we can't parse. So that's one thing. Yes,
Ah,
I think it is this.
well, we found a bug. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Ah, that's pretty good. I would like to go there.
I had no idea Mexico was so beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think that it was a real place, but it's a great imagined place.
True.
I don't know. This is sort of like Dream Maker. It's like any
I
search.
want to look at that in like landscape. I want to look at that in landscape.
You can adjust the resolution or adjust the dimensions.
Yeah, like probably if we go to
Just open up settings. For some reason, tabs don't like you today.
yes.
Come on, Streamlit.
Okay, so we have a output width here and output height. So let's I want to do 1024. Maybe just do 512.
You got a comma in there.
Oh, data types are important.
Yeah. And I guess this is Python, so it wants trailing commas after the last element.
No, that's just good practice because you can then add a new one very easily.
Yes, without, Who's the better
Oh,
coder?
wow. So we have that exact image because we at Gooey, we actually do this thing where we don't randomize your seeds unless you want them to.
Yeah.
So you get the same thing, but actually stretched out, which is very nice for reproducibility.
And what if you did want to change the seed? How would you do that?
You go to seed. Oh, okay. And I want to try, what's your lucky number, Sean?
17.
17.
Again,
Oh,
data
sorry.
types, yes?
Yes. Hopefully that'll get back to me with an error. Okay, so it's stuck on this side. That's our bug.
Okay, we'll fix
A
it.
lot of PDFs, and this side is okay. That's a huge PDF, basically. That it's just saying I can't load that in enough time.
Yeah. So I have to go pick up my son from school, but thank you,
Okay.
Dave. I feel like we showed the world how you can compose our little recipes together and workflows into the thing. Take a search query, go do some summarization of the world's content, and then turn that into a picture.
Yes.
And it looks pretty great.
Yes.
Thank you for the impromptu afternoon in Seattle, 2 o'clock in the morning in India demo.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.